Meanwhile, the FBI and Homeland Security Department warning of more violent attacks by a radical left-wing group known as Antifa. You can see it and hear it right there. Dangerous and confrontational activities by the radical activists, now classified, yes, as domestic terrorist violence. Meanwhile, conservatives are calling out liberals and the media for failing to condemn the Antifa movement. Rachel Campos Duffy is a Fox News contributor. Leslie Marshall, syndicated radio host, Fox News contributor as well. Good morning to you both, ladies.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Ed.
Leslie, what took so long for the left to start condemning Antifa, especially after the violence we've seen in recent weeks and months?
Well, I don't think it's too long that the left has taken. I just think the right isn't listening to everyone. I'm on the left. I've been condemning it from the start. And as you know, most of us on my side of the aisle are pacifist. This and any violence, regardless of what side you claim to be doing it for or why you be claiming to doing it, it is not acceptable. We do not condone violence. And whether it's Antifa, which certainly claims to be on the left, or some of these other organizations that align themselves with the right, like the supremacist groups, the white supremacist group, the neo-Nazis, the other racist organizations like the KKK, anyone and for any purpose that is doing this, it is completely unacceptable. It is not covered by the First Amendment, and it's just not a humane response to the anger that this or any group has.
Now, Rachel, we saw House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi in the last few days have this to say, finally coming out and saying that Antifa does not have a place in any of this debate. You can see it there. She says our democracy has no room for inciting violence or engendering the public, no matter the ideology of those who commit such acts. The violent actions of people calling themselves Antifa in Berkeley this weekend deserve unequivocal condemnation, and the perpetrators should be arrested and prosecuted. Is that good enough for you, Rachel?
Yes, but I'd like to hear that from Bernie Sanders and a lot of other liberals who, by the way, when things happen with violent groups on the right, every Republican lawmaker is being called to weigh in on this, and it just doesn't happen on the other side. I just want to say this, Ed. Congratulations to the FBI and the DOJ and all the people who are classifying this as a domestic terrorist group, because they are. You can be sure that if this was an Obama administration, I don't think they would have had that classification. And I think the reason why the group is growing and expanding and becoming more of a danger to the public is because the media has ignored it. We saw them right after the inauguration, violent protests right after the inauguration, and the media just skipped right over that to talk about how peaceful the Women's March was, which, by the way, had a lot of violent rhetoric as well. So I think the media has a role in this. They should have called this out, and I think maybe we could have had this attention drawn to this a little earlier.
Leslie, how about that? Because a moment ago you were saying, look, Antifa doesn't represent you on the left. So then why is it that some on the left and some in the mainstream media tried to say that the neo-Nazis we saw in Charlottesville and other places represented the right? If you want to be able to say, look, we're not with those folks, why is it that you're automatically saying that the right is connected to the neo-Nazis?
Well, first of all, I've never said that the neo-Nazis represent the right. But if you ask the neo-Nazis who they voted for or what party those individuals they voted for were from, it's not a guess. It's actually statistically proven that they overwhelmingly supported the Republican candidate for president and Republican seats in the House and the Senate in their local states.
Clearly, Antifa is more on the left.
Correct. Although Ed, if we were to get if we had a little chalkboard up here, right, and I put a line down and I said, what domestic terrorist groups are on the left? Antifa. What domestic terrorist groups align themselves with the right? There's a much longer list. It doesn't make it right or wrong. It's all wrong, and that violence is wrong. And however, the condemnation has come out from the left, Rachel. I would strongly disagree with that. And speaking of kudos to the FBI, if you look at the report, they also talked about the rhetoric that the president that came out of the president's mouth that they felt strongly sparked this
I want to
type
give Rachel
of violence,
the final
both
word.
left and right.
I just have to say, as soon as Charlottesville happened, Ronna Romney, the head of the RNC, came out and said, "You KKK, you racists, you are not welcome in our party." I did not see that happen from the Democrats on the day after the inauguration, when we first started to see this Antifa really go to a higher level.
All right, Rachel Campos Duffy, Leslie Marshall, have a great weekend.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
Appreciate it.